Welcome to Across Africa, our weekly roundup of stories from across the continent. I'm Georgia Calvin-Smith, and coming up, a month after the brutal killings of over 160 Fulani herders horrified Mali, the government's accused of not responding early enough to signs of mounting intercommunal tensions. Rivalry with Dogon hunters is believed to have led to the bloodshed. Also, a small South African farming town where in 2017, two men killed a 16-year-old boy they accused of stealing sunflowers, struggles to move past the racial and social frictions that have deepened since the incident. And helping lemurs hang on in there. The race to save the endangered Madagascar primate from poachers and loggers plundering the country's rich forests. But first, last month in Mali, on the 23rd of March, over 160 Fulani herders, most of whom were women and children, were slaughtered in the village of Ogossagou. Witnesses accuse hunters from the rival Dogon community of the murders. The brutal violence saw the Prime Minister quit weeks later amidst criticism that not enough had been done to head off mounting intercommunal tensions. The bloodshed forced thousands of frightened people to flee. Our correspondents report.
1,500 displaced Fulani live in this makeshift camp. It's where over 100 inhabitants of Ogossagou have sought refuge. The memories of the attack remain fresh, the fear still present. This man tells of the rain of fire that began after morning prayer at 5 a.m.
Only those who could run, who were able-bodied like me, managed to get out and escape. All the others, the old men, the women, the children, they stayed and were killed. They slaughtered some of the children. They slit their throats. Pregnant women were disemboweled.
He lost a brother, his sister-in-law and 3-month-old nephew. Survivors claim that it was Dogon hunters who carried out the attack using military-style weapons. According to this woman, the village of Ogossagou had effectively been placed under an embargo. The Dogon surrounding the village had prevented her from going to market.
At first we were simply worried about getting hold of condiments, but they were planning something else, something more serious. And before we knew what was happening, they came to attack the village, burned down all the granaries, killed everyone, burned all the millet. We've lost hope.
Relatives sent them money so they could take a bus to Bamako.
When you see that all the members of your family have been burned to death, that your parents' bodies have been burned to ashes, or even your children, who you've fed from your own breast, burned to ashes, could you stay on? You can only escape and leave. We no longer have a place there. That's why we left.
When the Fulani fled from Ogossagou, they left with nothing. In Bamako, they've received donations from individuals and a small amount of food aid from the Malian authorities.
The potential repercussions of the UK's bid to leave the European Union go far beyond the bloc. South Africa is one of the African countries with skin in the game, as much of its trade is with Britain, and the uncertainty about the terms of the exit deal risks impacting business.
South Africa has a lot riding on Brexit. The country is by far the most important African trading partner for Britain, with volumes reaching over 40 billion euros a year. If South Africa's commercial treaties with Europe will not be affected by Brexit, the future of its trades with the UK remains unclear, especially if Britain leaves the EU customs union.
And in that event, the British have published a tariff schedule, and that tariff schedule says that for South Africa, all of the fruit-based exports, including wine and all of the fresh and processed fruit, would enter duty-free. There would be duties on motor products, and that is the big concern for South Africa.
South Africa is the continent's leading producer of automobiles, and increased tariffs on auto exports could prove fatal for its sales to the UK. The Southern African Customs Union, which includes South Africa and 4 of its neighboring countries, has been negotiating tariffs with the UK for years. But a final post-Brexit agreement has yet to be signed.
While staying in South Africa, last month, 2 white farmers who killed a 16-year-old black boy after accusing him of stealing sunflowers were sentenced to 18 and 23 years in prison. The small town where it happened has struggled to move beyond the racial tensions that that were the backdrop to the violence. But some in the community are confronting the challenge in the hope of getting residents to overcome these divisions.
Protests rocked this small South African farming town in 2017 after two white men were accused of murdering a black teenager. The court heard how 16-year-old Matlamola Maswao was pushed off a moving vehicle after farm workers caught him stealing sunflower seeds. Since then, a reconciliation process led by various local churches has been hard at work to cross the racial divide and unite the community.
Communities will have to decide. We make this broken world a better place for ourselves. And if we don't do it, no one else will do it for us.
Pastor Bella Lemotlo has lived in Collini all her life and works with Pastor Peters on the reconciliation project.
Before we were living in peace, harmony with the white people, we didn't to fight each other. It was so good.
Despite a relative calm over the last 2 years, there are still glaring inequalities in Collini and in the rest of the country 25 years after apartheid. From the outside, the most visible heritage of this time is still the way many towns are divided along colour lines.
The white people are staying at town, and there is a black people in town who are staying there. So the thing is, there is no white person who's staying in township.
The school principal testified about the racial issues in Collini during Matswao's murder trial. He says that while not all whites were racist, this particular crime was racially motivated.
If it was a white boy, do you think they would have done that? No. They would not even go to the police station. I think they would have gone to the parents and say, man, this boy is messing our land.
1 month after the men were handed down jail terms of 23 and 18 years for the so-called sunflower murder, the situation in Collini is calm. But this divinely brokered peace could come to an abrupt end in May as the men lodged their appeal.
Young Rwandan singers won an award from France 24's sister radio station RFI. Yvan Buravan received the Discovery Prize this month, shortly before playing his debut concert in France. He's not exactly a new face, though, as he's already a rising star in Rwanda. France 24's Sadio Manjo went to meet him.
He's the rising star of Rwanda's R&B scene. Yvan Buravan first came to the limelight in 2009, when at age 14 he won one of Rwanda's music talent shows. This past November, the now 23-year-old star became the latest winner of the Prix Découverte RFI, an annual competition involving artists from across Africa. He's been on tour around the continent since.
My lyrics are in Kinyarwanda, one of the official languages of Rwanda. But even though most of my audience doesn't understand the language, we still connect through the music. Sure, I also sing in English and in French, but my native language was never a barrier. It's been an amazing experience.
His first album, The Love Lab, released in 2018, resonates as an anthem to his love for music and his family. In the music video for his song Garagaza, he sings alongside his father, who accompanies him on the harmonica.
I was inspired by the love that surrounds me, the love that I get from my parents and from my brothers and sister. I'm surrounded by so much love, and I just thought, what's better to share than love?
Deeply rooted in his Rwandan origins, Buravan has shared the stage with some of the region's top artists, including Kenyan Afropop band Sauti Sol and Tanzania's Bongo Flava artist AY. After performing in 12 different African countries as well as in Paris, Buravan performed the last show of his international tour in Abidjan, Ivory Coast.
Now, lemurs are a symbol of Madagascar, found nowhere else on Earth, but they're facing extinction from illegal logging and poaching. To help save the primates and protect the island's forests, the owner of a hotel has been funding a local task force. Clément Bonero tells us more.
It's a constant battle. Every day this group of men patrol the Voebela forest, searching for camps belonging to illegal loggers.
In this camp, there are about 100 people, women, children and the illegal loggers. We must demolish all the huts to make sure they don't return.
Wood trafficking is a major problem in Madagascar and also a significant threat to biodiversity. Lemurs, which are unique to the country, are now at risk of being wiped out. As well as destroying their natural habitat, loggers hunt and kill the animals for food.
They cut down all the trees, leaving only one in the middle. Then the lemur has nowhere to go. The traffickers shake the tree with the lemur in it, so it falls down and gets caught.
Stefan de Camp owns a hotel in the region. He's the one financing the task force that fights against traffickers. His aim is to protect the forest as well as the wildlife that calls it home.
They come, they put wedges underneath, and then with their knife, they remove the bark like that. The guys from the town of Tamatav, who buy the wood from these poachers, they're buying it at 1,000 ariari, ebony or non-ebony. It gets sold.
1,000 ariari for a piece of ebony, that's 25 euro cents. In a country where the minimum wage amounts to 45 euros a month, the quick cash from illegal logging is tempting for many. But it comes at a massive cost for the environment. Madagascar has lost nearly half of its forests since the 1950s.
Well, that's it for Across Africa for now. Thanks for joining us. Do so again if you can. Till then, take care.